She asked me to buy her lingerie for Christmas. It wasn't for me.
It didn't collapse all at once. That's the part people don't tell you. There was no explosion, no dramatic moment where everything shattered, no clear line between before and after, just distance, quiet, slow, almost polite distance. We had been together for 3 years, long enough to build routines, long enough to memorize each other's habits, moods, little reactions, long enough to start talking about the future like it was already decided. Marriage came up naturally, not as a question, but as a timeline. When we get married, when we move, when we settle, it felt stable, solid, safe. And maybe that's exactly when things started changing. At first, it was small. She needed more time alone. That's how she said it. I just feel like I need space sometimes. I didn't think much of it. People get overwhelmed. Life gets busy. Relationships can feel heavy if you don't breathe. So I gave her space, gladly. Then she moved out. Not because we fought, not because anything happened, just because she said she needed it. I think it'll be healthier for us. That's what she told me, and I believed her. We went from living together to seeing each other on weekends, then mostly holidays, then only when she felt like it. But every time I felt something was off, I shut it down. Because the alternative, the idea that something was actually wrong, felt worse. I told myself, this is normal. Relationships evolve, people change, but there's a difference between change and withdrawal. She was still there, technically. She still texted, still called, still said, I love you. But it felt like talking to someone through a wall, like everything had a delay, like her attention was always somewhere else. And the worst part? I started adapting to it. I stopped asking questions, stopped pushing for more time, stopped expecting anything beyond what she was willing to give, because I didn't want to lose her. That's the part that traps you. You don't notice how much you're shrinking until you're already small. By the time December came around, things were quiet. Not bad enough to break up, not good enough to feel secure, just stuck in this uncomfortable middle. Then she suggested Christmas, a trip, a hotel in the city center, just the two of us. She sounded excited, more alive than she had been in months. And then she said something that caught me off guard. Can you buy me something nice? I asked what she meant. She smiled. Like lingerie. It felt like a reset, like maybe everything I had been feeling was just in my head, like maybe she was still there and I had just been overthinking. So I went all in. I didn't just buy one, and I bought 2, carefully picked, took my time, made sure they were exactly her style. I wanted it to be perfect, because this wasn't just about a night. It felt like a chance to fix something that had been slowly slipping away. I kept imagining it, the hotel, the atmosphere, the way things used to feel between us, effortless, natural, close, and for the first time in a long time, I was actually excited, looking back now. That was probably the moment I wanted to believe more than I wanted to see the truth. The days leading up to Christmas felt different. She texted more, called more, even laughed like she used to. It pulled me back in, completely. That's the dangerous part about hope. It doesn't need much, just a small shift, a slight change in tone, and suddenly you forget everything that felt wrong. I ignored the months of distance, ignored the coldness, ignored the way she had slowly pulled away from me, because for a few days, it felt like she was coming back. Christmas morning, I picked her up. She looked good, really good, put together, effortless, the way she used to when we first met. She hugged me, smiled, kissed me, and for a moment, everything felt normal again, but it didn't last. On the drive, I noticed it. Not something obvious, just a feeling. She kept checking her phone, not like someone texting, like someone waiting. Her attention drifted constantly, in the middle of conversations, in the middle of silence, even when nothing was happening. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, again, but then it kept happening. We stopped for coffee. She sat across from me, phone in her hand, eyes locked on the screen. I said something. She didn't respond. "Hey," I said again. She looked up. "Oh, sorry, what?" That word again. Sorry. But it didn't feel like she meant it. It felt automatic, like a reflex. I tried to shake it off, tried to stay in the moment. This was supposed to be our reset. But something wasn't lining up. By the time we got to the hotel, that feeling had grown into something heavier. Not proof, not certainty, just pressure. The kind that builds silently before something breaks. And deep down, even before anything actually happened. I think part of me already knew this wasn't going to fix anything. It was going to reveal everything. By the time we reached the hotel, I was already fighting with myself. One part of me wanted to enjoy the night. The other part kept whispering, watch her. The hotel was nice. City center, warm lights, clean lobby, Christmas decorations everywhere. Couples checking in, smiling, carrying bags, acting like they were exactly where they wanted to be. I looked at them and tried to feel normal, tried to tell myself, this is us too. But beside me, she was quiet, phone in hand, thumb moving, eyes down. At the front desk, I handled the check-in. She barely looked up. The receptionist smiled at us and said, "Enjoy your stay." I smiled back. She didn't. In the elevator, we stood side by side, close enough to touch, far enough to feel like strangers. I watched her reflection in the metal doors. She wasn't looking at me. She was smiling at her phone, not a big smile. Worse, a private one. The room was exactly what I had hoped for. Big bed, soft lighting, window facing the city, quiet, romantic, almost perfect. I put the bags down and turned to her. "So," I said, trying to sound playful, "this is nice." She looked around for half a second. "Yeah, it's cute." Then back to her phone. That was the first real crack. Not because she was on her phone, because she didn't care. Not about the room, not about the night, not about me. I sat beside her on the bed. "What are you watching?" "A stream." "What stream?" "Just a game." She tilted the screen away slightly, not enough to be obvious, just enough to make my stomach tighten. I laughed, pretending not to notice. "On Christmas?" She shrugged. "It's relaxing." I wanted to say something. I wanted to ask why she planned a hotel night with me just to lie in bed watching some guy play games, but I didn't. Because when you're afraid of losing someone, you become careful with your own pain. So I smiled, I unpacked, I tried to keep the mood alive. After a while, I said, "Are you going to change?" She looked confused. "Into what?" I forced a laugh. "The thing you asked me to buy." "Oh." She glanced at the bag. "Maybe later, I'm not feeling great." There it was again. That distance. That soft rejection dressed up as something harmless. I nodded. "Okay, no pressure." But inside, something dropped. She lay back against the pillows, phone glowing in her face. I walked to the window and looked out at the city. Cars moved below like tiny red veins. Christmas lights blinked in windows. People were out there living normal lives. And I was standing in a hotel room wondering why my girlfriend felt farther away than ever. Then I saw the screen. Just for a second. She shifted and the angle opened. The streamer's face appeared. Not famous, not popular, not some celebrity with thousands of fans. Just a guy. A random guy in a small bedroom setup, headset on, talking into a cheap microphone. And in the chat, her name kept appearing. Again, and again, and again. I didn't react. I trained my face to stay calm. But my brain locked onto the username. His username. I repeated it silently, once, twice, 3 times. Until I knew I wouldn't forget it. That was when the night changed. Not openly, not yet. But inside me, everything became sharp. Every movement, every glance, every time she smiled at the screen. I said, "Want to go for a walk?" She didn't even look at me. I'm tired. Just for a bit. City looks nice. I said I'm tired. The tone hit harder than the words. Flat. Irritated. Like I was interrupting something. I stood there for a second, then grabbed my jacket. I'll go alone. Okay. No question. No concern. No, wait, come here. Just okay. The hallway felt colder than outside. I walked fast until I got out of the hotel. The air hit my face, sharp and freezing. For a moment, I just stood there breathing. Then I pulled out my phone, typed the username, found him instantly. Small channel. Almost no viewers. Live. Same game. Same face. Same voice. I opened the stream. The chat was nearly empty, except for her. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. At first, the messages looked normal. Jokes, comments. Then they shifted. Little hearts, teasing, private references I didn't understand. And his responses, too familiar, too comfortable, and too intimate. He wasn't treating her like a viewer. He was treating her like someone he already had. I stood on the sidewalk, Christmas lights above me, people walking past me, laughing, holding bags, holding hands, and I felt completely alone. I kept scrolling. The chat wasn't enough to prove everything, but it was enough to poison the night, enough to explain the phone, the distance, the secret smile, the way she looked annoyed every time I tried to pull her back into our own relationship. My first emotion was anger, hot, clean, immediate. I wanted to go back upstairs, throw the door open, and ask her who he was. But then another thought came. What if she lies? And I knew she would. Because she had already been lying, maybe not with words, but with behavior, with silence, with distance, with that little tilted phone screen. So I stayed outside until I could breathe normally. I told myself, don't explode. Don't give her a chance to hide it. Be calm. When I went back upstairs, my face was empty. I opened the room door. She was on the bed, and now she was wearing it. The lingerie, the one I bought. For half a second, my brain refused to process it. Because this should have been the moment I wanted. This should have been the night turning around. But it felt wrong, deeply wrong. She didn't sit up, didn't smile, didn't look excited. She just lay there, half-covered, phone still in hand. Like she had put it on because she remembered she was supposed to, not because she wanted me. You look beautiful, I said, and I meant it. That was the worst part. Even hurt, even suspicious, even angry, I still meant it. She smiled faintly. Thanks. Then looked back down. I moved closer, touched her leg. She stiffened, not dramatically, just enough. Enough to tell the truth. I don't really feel good, she said. My hand froze. Okay. I don't want to, That's fine. But it wasn't fine. Not because she said no. She had every right to say no. It wasn't that. It was the emptiness. The feeling that I was being managed, handled, kept quiet. She offered something else, something mechanical, something that felt less like desire and more like damage control. And somehow that felt worse. The room became heavy, awkward, cold. We both pretended not to notice. Later, the lights were off. She fell asleep easily. Too easily. I lay beside her, staring into the dark. Her phone was on the nightstand, face down, close enough to reach. For hours, I didn't touch it. I argued with myself. Don't do it. You already know enough. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're insecure. Maybe this is how you destroy everything. Then I looked at her sleeping face, calm, peaceful, like there wasn't a storm sitting between us, like I hadn't spent Christmas night slowly realizing I might be sharing a bed with someone who had already left me. The phone lit up once, a notification, no sound, just light. For 1 second, the screen glowed against the dark room, and I saw his name. My whole body went cold. I waited, listened to her breathing, then slowly reached over, picked up the phone, and unlocked it. The moment the phone unlocked, everything became real. No more guessing, no more maybe. Just truth. Her apps were still open. She hadn't even tried to hide it. That's what hit me first, not the betrayal, the carelessness. I opened her messages, found his name instantly, pinned at the top. My thumb hovered for a second. One last chance to stop, to put the phone down, to stay ignorant. I opened it. The first thing I saw wasn't shocking. That's how it traps you. It starts normal. Are you awake? Miss you. Call me later. My brain tried to hold on to that. Told you, it's nothing serious. But then I scrolled, and everything changed. Good girl. I like it when you listen. Say it again. Her replies came fast, too eager. Yes, Daddy. I missed you so much. I wish you were here. My chest tightened so hard it felt like I couldn't breathe. This wasn't flirting. This wasn't random. This was something else, something deeper, something practiced. I kept scrolling, voice messages, long ones, minutes at a time, night after night, dates going back weeks, months. The timeline unfolded like a slow execution. While I thought we were going through a phase, she was building something with him, consistently, intentionally. There were calls, screenshots, photos. I didn't want to open them, but I did. First photo, her, in her room. Same angle I had seen 100 times, but different expression, different energy. Not distant, not tired, not needing space, alive. That's when it hit harder. She hadn't changed. She had just stopped being that person with me. I scrolled again. Videos, short clips, things she never did for me, things she said she was not comfortable with. But here, no hesitation, no limits. My hands started shaking. I almost dropped the phone, but I kept going. Because at this point, I needed the full truth, no matter how bad it got. Then I found the messages about the trip. Him. I might come to your city soon. Her. Tell me when. I'll plan everything. My stomach dropped. Her. What's the weather like for you? Her. I'll call a taxi when you land. Her. I can't wait to see you again. Again. That word hit like a punch. This wasn't new. This wasn't just online. This had already happened. My breathing got heavier, slower, controlled. Like my body was trying to keep me from breaking. Then I saw it. Send me the photos. I froze. I knew what was coming. I knew. But I opened them anyway. First photo? Hotel room, not ours. Different lighting, different sheets. But I recognized the bed, the layout, the way she lay across it. Because it was the same pose she used with me. Except this time, it wasn't me. She was wearing the lingerie I bought. My vision blurred for a second. I blinked hard, looked again. No mistake. Same one. Her legs were over him, his hand on her, comfortable, natural, like they belonged there. I swiped. Another photo, closer, more intimate. Her face, smiling, fully there, not distracted, not distant, not checking her phone, present, with him. Something inside me broke quietly, not loud, not dramatic, just collapsed. I kept going, because at that point stopping didn't matter anymore. More photos, different angles, different moments. Then another one, different lingerie. My heart dropped even lower. The second set. I had bought that one too. She had brought both. Not for me, for him. That's when the anger disappeared. Completely. Not because it wasn't justified, but because it had nowhere to go. What do you do with that kind of truth? You don't scream, and you don't throw things, you don't wake her up. You just understand. Everything. The distance, the space, the lack of interest, the way she pulled away without explaining. It wasn't confusion, it wasn't stress, it wasn't a phase, it was replacement. I slowly put the phone down, carefully, exactly where it was. She moved slightly in her sleep, turned her head, murmured something. I froze, watched her, but she didn't wake up. And I sat there, in the dark, next to her, with the full truth in my head. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time didn't feel real anymore. I looked at her again, tried to match the person beside me with the person in those messages. They didn't connect. It was like I had been in a relationship with one version of her, while she was giving the real version to someone else. That thought hurt more than anything, not the cheating, the fact that she had chosen where to be real, and it wasn't with me. I leaned back against the headboard, stared into the darkness. No tears, no rage, just emptiness. And one clear thought. There is nothing left to fix. I didn't need to confront her, didn't need explanations, didn't need closure, because closure was already sitting in those photos, in those messages, in every word she had sent him while I was still calling her mine. Morning was going to come, and when it did, everything would be different. But for now, I just sat there, awake, silent, while the person I thought I loved slept peacefully next to me. I didn't sleep, not even for a minute. At some point, the darkness in the room started to fade. A thin gray light slipped through the curtains, slowly outlining everything: the chair, the table, the edge of the bed, her face. She was still asleep, peaceful, unbothered. I watched her for a long time, trying to feel something: anger, hate, anything. Nothing came. That was the strangest part. Not the betrayal, not the lies, the silence inside me. It was like my mind had already finished processing everything during the night. No questions left, no confusion, no denial, just acceptance, cold, final, complete. She moved slightly, stretching under the blanket. Then her eyes opened. "Morning?" she said softly, like it was any other day. "Morning," I replied. My voice sounded normal, too normal. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. "Did you sleep?" "A little." Another lie, but it didn't matter anymore. She reached for her phone. Of course she did. That small automatic movement, so natural, so routine, confirmed everything again without a single word. I looked away. "Do you want to get breakfast?" she asked. "Sure." We got ready in silence. No tension on her side, no awkwardness, no sign that anything was wrong. That was the final piece. She wasn't conflicted, she wasn't guilty, she wasn't struggling. She had already made her choice, and I had just discovered it too late. The elevator ride down felt longer than the night. We stood side by side again, same distance, same silence. I watched our reflection, two people next to each other, no connection between them. Outside, the city was alive. Morning traffic, people rushing, coffee shops filling up. Everything felt normal, except me. We sat at a small cafe near the hotel. She ordered like usual, scrolled between bites, answered a few messages. I didn't need to look to know who they were from. At one point, she laughed quietly at something on her screen. That sound, it used to belong to me. I looked at her, really looked this time, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw her clearly, not who I thought she was, not who I hoped she was, just who she actually was, a person who had already left. I finished my coffee. "Ready?" "Yeah." The drive back was quiet. She talked a little, about random things, things that didn't matter. I answered when I had to, short responses, no emotion, not because I was trying to punish her, because there was nothing left to give. When we reached her place, she unbuckled her seatbelt, paused for a second, then leaned over and kissed my cheek. "Text me when you get home," she said. I nodded. She got out of the car, closed the door, walked away, didn't look back. I sat there for a few seconds, hands on the steering wheel, engine still running, waiting for something, a feeling, a reaction. Nothing came. So I drove. The road felt longer than usual, empty, quiet. When I got home, I didn't go inside right away. I just sat in the car, and for the first time it hit me. Not what she did, what I allowed, all the moments I ignored, all the signs I explained away. All the times I felt something was wrong and chose comfort over truth. That's where the real damage was, not in her betrayal. In my silence. I went inside, put my phone down, did nothing. Hours passed, then a day, then another. She texted once. "Did you get home safe?" I didn't reply. I wasn't angry. I just didn't see the point. A few days later, I finally picked up my phone, typed slowly, carefully. "I know everything. We're done." I stared at the message for a few seconds, then sent it. No explanation, no accusations, no questions, because none of it would change anything. Her reply came fast. Too fast. "I still love you. I'm so sorry. I've been crying nonstop." I read it, didn't react. Then more messages. I was confused. It didn't mean anything. We just hung out. We only hugged. I closed my eyes. Even now, she was still lying, not because she needed to, but because that's who she had become. Or maybe that's who she had always been. I put the phone down, didn't reply, because the truth is, there's a moment in every broken relationship where words become useless, where explanations don't matter, apologies don't matter, even love doesn't matter. Because trust is already gone, and once that's gone, there's nothing left to rebuild on. I never spoke to her again, not out of anger, not out of pride, but because I understood something most people learn too late. Closure doesn't come from the other person. It comes from accepting what you saw and refusing to ignore it again. Christmas used to mean something to me. Now it means something else. Not pain, not even betrayal. Clarity. Because that was the night I stopped lying to myself. And sometimes, that's the only thing that actually sets you free.